Okay, so we have consultation coming to an end this week in terms of the noise action plan. I guess what's the opinion of the your organisation as we're approaching that deadline?
BFPCA has been quite critical of seeing the community yet again being consulted on proposals that will not actually yield any noise reductions. There is various issues with what Airservices are proposing. The key issue that we see is that they are not actually attempting any noise reductions. What they are trying to do is shifting the noise from one community to another community, and so we don't believe that this is the right approach.
So the argument is just because some paths might be changed to impact other areas, I guess net there's still the same amount of noise there?
There's actually going to be an increase in noise and an increase in the frequency of overflight. So what Airservices are not telling the community is the fact that the aviation industry and the airport are planning to increase the capacity of Brisbane Airport. Originally, with one runway, we had 52 flights an hour capacity. The airport is very keen on introducing a 110 flight capacity mode. Now, that requires changes to the way the runways operate. And so under this disguise of the noise action plan, they are very busy now introducing what's called independent parallel operations. And so practically what that means is that where you now have one airport, the air traffic controllers can pretty much operate the two runways as if it's two airports.
What do you sort of expect will come of this consultation period? Like there has been a few previously. Are you hopeful that the community's opinions will be heard in that process?
There is at the moment no evidence that Airservices is actually genuinely listening to community members. We have a range of evidence now that Airservices cannot be trusted. First of all, in Senate estimates, they have repeatedly confirmed that they are not a regulator. They are actually in service of the aviation industry, and that is their prime goal, their prime motivation. Second of all, we've also heard from their executive that they will do as little as possible. That was the quote that was produced, again in Senate estimates, of what are they going to do here in Brisbane. And so we are now seeing a engagement phase where communities are pitted against each other. It's a tactic that we call divide and conquer. So we see Bayside communities being rightly upset about what's been proposed, but other communities also being very concerned about noise just being pushed towards each other. And so rather than actually resolving this issue by introducing the same measures that we are seeing in Sydney, in Adelaide, at Essendon, Melbourne, at the Gold Coast Airport, which is a curfew, ideally combined with a flight cap, we are not seeing any sacrifice, any compromise whatsoever.
Yeah, what are, in your opinion, the solution? What is the solution here? You talked about night caps. Can you elaborate?
Yes, our main demands are about caps and curfews. In addition to that, we want to see an entire package that is modelled around the same noise abatement instruments that have been introduced in Sydney since the mid-90s. There's lots of pushback from the airport. They say Brisbane is about to host the Olympics, but we remind them that Sydney in 2000 was host to the Olympics, and all those community protections were already in place at that time, and the games happened successfully and the airport operated successfully. So that's demonstrating that an airport in a much bigger city can operate in harmony with the host community, together with these noise abatements that we'd like to see introduced here in Brisbane.
Yeah, so you think it's been done successfully elsewhere and you'd like to see that implemented here?
Not just in Sydney, but in other cities, both in Australia and overseas, we see international best practice noise abatements being introduced. It is not the end of the world like the airport is trying to make it out to be. Airports can live in harmony with host communities. In Brisbane, the airport has entirely failed to obtain a social license to operate.
What suburbs are you thinking will be the most impacted if these proposed changes go ahead?
It's hard to say which suburbs are going to be the most impacted because the proposals on the table are very hard to verify and to analyze, particularly because the language that is being used is so vague and the maps that are being produced are so low resolution. So we are seeing right now 220 suburbs affected. That's a figure that comes again from Airservices themselves. That's how many suburbs have been sending noise complaints to their noise complaints information services team. And now we believe that that figure is going to go up, that there's going to be new suburbs, new communities going to be affected because of Airservices' proposition to just share the noise with other people. Now, people will think that that is going to give them reprieve, but because of this very aggressive growth strategy, any kind of reprieve is going to be only temporary. And so as soon as the airport is going to go full throttle on their very aggressive growth strategy about cargo, about freight, everyone is going to see more flights and more noise in all of those existing suburbs and newly affected suburbs that are now getting new flight paths created above them.
So are you saying that, yes, these new flight paths will be created, but it's only a matter of time until you anticipate the previous ones pick up in traffic again?
There is, at the moment, as part of this noise action plan, no proposal to close flight paths. That's something that people got to remember. Even if there is this idea of noise sharing, it does not mean that any flight paths that are currently being used are going to be closed and removed. They're going to keep all the flight paths available and they're creating new ones as part of this sharing proposition, which is going to affect new communities across the greater Brisbane area, from island communities in Moreton Bay and the whole Bayside, all the way to rural communities in Samford Valley, in Upper Brookfield. Some of these communities are 45 kilometres away from the airport. We often hear people say, don't live near an airport. But that's not really the issue here. We have people in the Moreton Bay Regional Council area, in Logan, in Redland City, complain about the noise from Brisbane Airport.
Yes, and then if people move to these areas to try and be further away from the airport, that could, yes, turn around on them, I guess, a few years down the track potentially. What are the flow-on impacts they are, under a busy flight path?
The noise that people are experiencing, it's unregulated, and so having no upper limit on the volume, on the frequency, on the impact at night has detrimental impacts on people's health. So there's health, mental health, emotional toll that it takes, and we have seen a lot of studies, peer-reviewed scientific studies that have been analysing excessive aircraft noise at other airports that demonstrate and corroborate what we fear, that there is detrimental health impacts. I mean, one of the very sad pieces of evidence that we point to is the fact that Airservices have now opened up a mental health and suicide counselling hotline precisely for Brisbane aircraft noise sufferers. So there is a 1300 number that people can call, and that is the extent of how much they care. I think we've maybe just about what people can do.
Yes, yeah.
If people are concerned about aircraft noise, whether they're currently affected or whether it's something that they think might be coming towards them, we encourage them to visit our website, which is bfpca.org.au, and people can take action and look at the options that we outlined there. Thank you.